Yo YouTube, Cobalion Council here, and today I'm bringing another episode of Teachy TV. Yes, episode 2. This episode I wanted to focus around a thing called formats. And you might have seen here, if you go on to Pokemon Showdown, if you want to select a random battle, it says random battle as format. And if you click on it, a lot of these things appear. And some of you might wonder what those things are. And I should have made this my first episode because it's pretty important to know what format you play. So today I will be explaining that anyways. Next episode, if you already know the formats, is about items. What items are good in competitive Pokemon, what items are bad, and what items are good on certain Pokemon. So be sure to check that episode out. But that's enough of an introduction. Let's get into the video. So I'm here on Pokemon Showdown's Dex kind of thing, because Smogon is a community and Showdown is pretty much its battle simulator. So all the rules that you have on Pokemon Showdown are basically the rules of the Smogon community. So the formats you see on Pokemon Showdown are Smogon formats. So if you ever hear the term Smogon, it's not meant to be the Dutch coughing or the Deutsche version of coughing. No, it's this community. So if you go to the Smogon Dex under the preset formats, which I will link in the description, you see a list of pretty much like a lot of formats. All of these formats are pretty much playable on Showdown and are playable tiers on Wi-Fi. But I will focus on the main tiers today because a lot of things like balanced Heckmons or something like that are not as easily explained if you are coming into Pokemon. So I will be covering the main tiers. And if you're wondering what the main tiers are, they are OU, Ubers, UU, RU, NU, PU, and LC. These things. A tier or format, these are tiers. And what a tier is pretty much a rank. If a Pokemon is a high tier, it means it's pretty good, and if it's lower tier, it's pretty bad. But it's not exactly based upon that they are good or bad, because that's a matter of opinion. No, they are based upon the usage they get in like a certain amount of time, pretty much like 3 months. So I'll link this site as well in the description. It's the Smogon forums. These are the Smogon used based tier numbers. So like you see here, these are mons that are in the OU tier and what percentage of usage they have. And if a Pokemon is below that number of usage in a certain tier, like Celebi, it's supposed to be 3.4 in most years. If it's below 3.4, it will drop. So like Celebi dropped from OU to UU, UU being the second highest normal tier. So all of these tiers like OU, UU, RU, NU, PU, these are just pretty much OU is used a lot. UU is used pretty decent amount, but not as much as OU. RU is used fairly low amount of times. NU is pretty much never used, and PU is never used in NU. So a lot of people say that mons in PU are bad, but it's just because they are used a lot less. And a lot of the good mons are indeed in OU, and like a Butterfree or something like that is indeed PU. you also have Ubers, and Ubers is pretty much a ban list of OU, so that's pretty much legendaries. A lot of the legendaries like Dialga and Palkia and stuff like that, like Boxer legendaries, are pretty much all in Ubers. So that's a lot of the Pokemon that were too strong for the OU tier. Only one Mon has ever been banned from Ubers, and that's Mega Rayquaza, and it created this tier called Anything Goes. But LC is another tier, and it's pretty much all the little tiny basic Pokemon. So you can go ahead and look at the Smogon decks at formats. If you look at, for example, OU, these Pokemon have that certain percentage of usage in a normal tier. So all of these Pokemon that are under the OU sample are here. So like Amoonguss, Azurill, Bisharp, these are all Pokemon in the OU tier. And you might think like, so if a Pokemon is good, it's pretty much in the OU tier because it's good. Well, not exactly, because some Pokemons are really good but don't get used as much as some, and they will end up in a BL, in a borderline tier. And what that means is these mons are like UU, so a tier below, based upon usage, but they are banned from UU because they were too strong. So for example, Alexam got banned like last month, I believe, or beginning of this month, because it was too strong for UU. So a certain really high tier players decided that it was too strong for OU, so it got banned. And pretty much all of the other Pokemons are based upon percentage of usage. So you have, I'll pretty much have a like annotation pop up on screen on what tiers there are and on what order they go, from like used a lot to used less, because you might have been confused in the process. But I'll show you a list of OU, UU, RU and UPU mods. So if you select a new team in the team builder or showdown, which you can just click here, you can select a format. So for example, if you want to play Ubers, you can see that you can use all Pokemons pretty much, because if a tier is below a certain tier, so because Ubers is above the OU tier, you can use OU mounts in an Ubers battle. They are not always recommended because there are a lot of stronger possibilities for them, but they are still possible of being used. So for example, Arceus, Darkrai, Dialga, Mega Gengar, and Deoxys forms, Hoopa Unbound, Prime Groudon for example is the biggest threat in Ubers, and so forth and so forth. If you want to play a OU team, you can just select OU as a format, and you cannot use any Uber Pokemon around here. So you will get a list of all the mods you can use in this tier. You can also use BL, so it's borderline, but yeah, that's a list of OU mods you can use. And you can select it for every single format. So it will show you in the tier builder all the Pokemon that you can use. You can also check it on Smogon.com, what Pokemon are in a certain team, on certain tier, for example. And on this side of Smogon forums, you can also look at certain competitive discussions going on in a tier. So some sample teams, or viability rankings. But yeah, that's pretty much it I have to tell about tiers. Every trainer and every person that plays under Smogon rules pretty much has a favorite tier. One of my favorite tiers, for example, is UU. I really love the UU metagame and the Pokemons that are in it. I also love like Ubers. I really love Ubers. But LC, Little Cup, a tier that is now based upon usage, but because based on the fact that they are the first form of an evolution line, like Axew evolves into Fracture and Hexorus, Bagon eventually evolves into Salamence, stuff like that is in LC, but that's my least favorite tier, for example. But some people really love Little Cup. If you really have any questions about a certain tier, you can just go and join a chat here on Showdown. If you have certain questions you have to ask about a certain team, for example, what Pokemons are really good in the tier, what Pokemons are pretty bad in the tier, you can go ahead and join a chat here on Showdown and they will love to help you out. For example, if I have a question about the Lil Cup tier or the PU tier, for example, if I have a question about PU, yeah, so the lowest, pretty much the lowest tier, I can just go ahead and hop on in the PU chat, and I'm just able to ask anything about the tier to one of these guys or just the chat itself, and they will have, for example, sample teams, viability rankings in the tier, so what Pokemons are really good in the tier and what are some bad ones in the tier, but they will have some nice things to help you out in the PU tier, for example. So that's pretty much it I have to tell you guys about formats. These are the standard formats, like I said. There are some other formats outside of it. They are not necessarily of Smogon community, but sometimes there's like a fun format like monotype. In monotype, for example, you can only use Pokemons of a certain type, so like only electric type Pokemons, like a gym leader has, and stuff like that. So if you want to go ahead and look into some other tiers, you can go ahead, but I've pretty much explained the main tiers to you guys, and I hope I helped a lot. If you do have any questions about a certain tier or why tiers are made or stuff like that, tiers are pretty much made so that every Pokemon has a chance to battle. But if you have any question about just anything, you can go ahead and leave it in the comment section below or ask me on Twitter. I am pretty active on Twitter, although I only have 2 followers, but I don't care. But I'm going to go ahead and head out of here, and I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Go out into Kangaskhan and waste a turn.
Yeah,
and then
fake
sucker.
out. Nice.
Fake out sucker.
Because
Go.
we do know that
We are still scarred, so it will be boosted, and we're scrappy. Yeah, scrappy doesn't matter actually. Okay, Magmortar. Please. Oh my god, he's so bad.
Why does he run flame body? Okay.
Who uses flame body Magmortar?
Do
Woo.
we click X? Do we click X?
EQ, punish.
As the game